So as girls, I got them locked, so similar to a prison. In my awesome jams that are causing me favoritism. I want you to just visualize this creative-wise. When I wrote the song, I heard everything in my head. I didn't have multi-track. So I couldn't take the sample, the riff itself, Blues and Pants. I couldn't take the riff. I couldn't take the sample of Malcolm McCarran. I couldn't take the Impeach the President and create this whole thing.
This is the untold story of Super Lover C and Casanova Rud. Super Lover C and Casanova Rud was a hip-hop duo that followed in the path of EPMD, Nice and Smooth, and Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Soup and Cass dropped a single in 1988 called Girls I Got 'Em Locked and became instant stars and teenage heartthrobs. Representing the borough of Queens, they came out of the Queens-based studio 1212 and worked closely with the legendary producer and engineer Paul C.
Then he did our joint. He did Super Lover C, do the James, boom, dum, 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 dum. I mean, that was thick. Everything he touched was thick. So it was like when it came through Studio 1212 in Queens, Paul C, it came out thick. You know, Rock Him, Follow the Leader, dum, 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 and that track was muffled, but it still was dum, 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 rocking. You know, he would bring it out.
And didn't want to be a producer. I mean, my thing was, I was a rapper. You know, I wanted to be a rapper, and I wanted to make a record, and that's what I would say. Super Lover C wanted to make a record, but never looked at it as a producer aspect or anything like that. I just thought I was a great rapper. So when I did, we went in, and now we're looking at Paul C. You know, and first of all, this is my first time in the studio at this board, and I'm seeing all this stuff. I'm like, wow, this is phenomenal. And then I'm watching this man work, and I'm saying, wow, like, he's doing some work here that, how is he doing this? You know what I mean? So I told him what we wanted and how the verses went, had to go. But to pull that whole thing together, you couldn't do it without Paul. So he did exactly what it, and where he was great at is because it didn't take long. You told Paul, hey, this is what I want, and he do that little nod, and that was it, man. And he put that whole thing together.
At that time, Soup was brand new to the studio, and Paul C ended up taking a liking to him. What was supposed to be an hour in the studio turned out to be Super Lover C's and Casanova Rud's biggest record. A friendship with an emerging hip-hop producer that would go on to be credited with working with Eric B. and Rakim, Steezo, Ultramagnetic, and bringing Large Professor under his wing.
Paul would enhance the beat. Paul C, a lot of people think, you know, Paul did a little bit of producing, but Paul was more impressed with the producers. And they would bring these beats up to Paul, and Paul would thicken them up. He would enhance them. He was a master at sound. Like, you know, you got to think who came through Paul. You know, Large Professor, some great hip hop records. Biz Markie, Just a Friend. No, you, Ultramagnetic. Their whole album, man. Listen, let me tell you something. I'm a major fan of Ultramagnetic.
Let's take a step back and give you the true origin of how Kalente Fredericks and Eric Rudnicki, also known as Super Lover C and Casanova Rud, got things rolling.
Rud had a DJ set. You know, I don't know if it was a birthday present or Christmas present or a holiday gift or what it was, but I know that he had this set, and I knew how to rap, and we got together and we listened to a lot of hip hop. I mean, we listened to a lot of hip hop from back in the days, and, you know, I'm saying to myself, you know, man, I can rap just as good. You know, I can do my thing too. So, you know, why not? So that's how we got together. But again, it was four of us, you know, and it was called the Future Four. Then it kind of broke down to two, and it was just me and Casanova Rud. But I went by MCC, and he went by DJ Spinbad, by the way, back in the days. We didn't have Super Lover C and Casanova Rud. Rud actually, me and Rud met in our community back when we were growing up. Rud played football. I was a big football fan. And, you know, when he moved into our community, and we kind of gelled as friends, man, because we were into football. We started with sports first. And then after sports, we got into the music.
1, 2, I pump it up. 1, 2, 1, 2, I pump it up. Now check this out, Rud. Come on, get some. Stop yelling it. I know you like the jam, but his name is still seldom telling.
Junior high school, banging on the table. You know the whole story, man. Banging on the table and rapping, man. So yep, Super Lover C did that as well. And then eventually went to United States of America, where they held a local rap competition.
Back in the 80s, the way to get discovered was through talent shows. Soup and Cass got their record deal performing at a local talent competition where the winner was offered a record deal and a chance to work with hip-hop producer Marley Marl.
Now, I thought I was good, but a lot of my friends thought I was great. And I decided to take a shot at it. So taking that shot at it, man, was probably the best career move, you know what I mean? But it was a lot, you know, to get up there in front of all these people, and, you know, it just wasn't me. I wasn't that open, you know? There was a gentleman that managed the place. I'm not sure if he was an owner or a manager, but I can tell you this. His name was Jerry Waterman, and big inspiration in my career, because even when I thought, well, I think I was okay, you know, Jerry Waterman says, man, are you kidding me? You're phenomenal. You're great. So Jerry Waterman pushed me through with the career. And then I traveled with the United States of America with some of the people that we know. DJ Scratch actually came out with me because he won a DJ contest and I won a rap competition.
United States of America was a contest.
It was a contest, United States of America.
Oh, Skates.
Skates, United States of America, I'm sorry. And then basically, yeah, so you know, DJ Scratch was out. I met a lot of the entertainers that came up in the 80s when we were all amateurs at United States of America.
Doing the talent competitions helped Super Lover C build his confidence to start taking his craft more serious. According to Soup, he took his money he made from working at the local McDonald's to book 1 hour of studio time. That would be the spark that ignited the group's career.
But the most beautiful thing is watching him do his work and Paul looking at me when I started rapping. I was like, because it was different. It was just something, you know, like, and I'm watching him and he through the glass and it's like, wow. But I can tell you this, what ended up happening was it took, of course, more than an hour. Paul appreciated the track as much as I did, and we all did. And Rud was doing this. Now, of course, it was scratchings, everything. But mind you, again, I only took $25 in there. So when someone believes in you and thinks that something's going to be great, you know what I mean? They put their input into it. And that's what ended up happening.
What's up, man? And what's your name, homeboy?
Super Lover C.
And your name, my man? Casanova Rud. And who this fly guy over here on the dance floor?
He's funk.
Hey, fellas, gotta ask you a question. Where y'all come from? Queens?
Astoria, Queens.
Astoria, Queens? How long y'all been together?
Well, me and him about 7, 8 years, right?
Mm-hmm. And
This guy lives off the street.
oh, but I'll tell y'all one thing, y'all sure pick a good pick right here, you know. Fellas, y'all got a lot of other hits coming up for future time? Huh? So otherwise, like I always say, we can do this?
We can do it.
Girls act stupidly when I'm pumping them. Girls act stupidly when I'm pumping them.
That's what it was. But that was entertainment in the 80s. That was entertainment in the 80s. The truth about Super Lover C was he was very picky. It's the truth. Very picky. And I wasn't the one that had all the girls. So, big misconception. Casanova Rud was the ladies' man. Not to say that, you know, if you put something out there like that, what ends up happening is people pick up on it and think, hey, you know what I mean? This is the guy, Super Lover C. He's got the name, and look at the eyes, and you know. So that's something that's been put out there, but that wasn't me per se. You know what I'm saying? So, and yeah, I'm telling this story now because I'm telling this story now because, you know, I'm 52 years old, and you know, and that was a chapter in my life. But sure, it was one of the biggest misconceptions that I was the ladies' man, and you know, Did I like the ladies? Of course I did, just like the next guy. You know what I mean? But as far as being out there and picking up on ladies all the time, nah, that definitely wasn't it.
Once Do the James record came out and hit the airwaves, the duo was rolling high. They followed up with the single Girls I Got 'Em Locked to fit more of their persona as the Romeos of rap. Super Lover C flow was very catchy and his wordplay was a step above average. In a lot of ways, he ushered in a new rhyme flow for that time and era in hip hop.
Maybe this will work. Now, this is the interesting thing. I want you to just visualize this creative-wise. When I wrote the song, I heard everything in my head. I didn't have multi-track. So I couldn't take the sample, the riff itself, Blues and Pants. I couldn't take the riff. I couldn't take the sample of Malcolm McCarran. I couldn't take the Impeach the President and create this whole thing. But in my head, I heard it. And I wrote this whole song based on that, where the break was gonna come in and all that. And we take the song down to 12 Studios. And mind you, I had no idea how to do that. And then I knew what I wanted.
1988 was what most considered a golden age of hip hop because the landscape was so diverse. Artists were forced to be different, in which gave the culture more options of music and more artists to choose from.
Everybody was different. It was coming from everywhere. 88 was a pivotal year in music.
So we were waiting for the time of arrival. So we had some moments with The Message, with Rapper's Delight, but they were only moments. They weren't lives. 88, we began to have lives. You see who we are? We are Houdini. You see who we are? We are KRS-One. You see who we are? And so that's why it means that much to me. But going back to what you were saying, 88, that was 88. A lot of people call that the golden era.
But hip hop at that era, man, I guess my view or perception of it wasn't competitive because of the different many styles. I mean, you had Rakim, you had KRS-One, you had EPMD. I mean, I can go down a whole list, and their styles were all different. You know, had Big Daddy Kane, you had the Juice Crew, you had, so what we all did was come out and do what we do. And when I say do what we do is what we did. And it was just a style type thing to me. And you have to make an impact. So when you came back out, you better come back out with something better or something new, you know what I mean? In order to maintain and stay in that industry, man. Because hip hop back then was just that, man. It was being creative.
Girls, I got 'em locked so similar to a prison. In my awesome jam that is causing me favoritism. I heard of being doping, but this beats the mover. The choreographer causing your funky dope maneuver. I'm your boss rapping, you're the crowd for hire. The music supplements the funky drum is your supplier. Me win on the hip hop, I make it get down and do the jam. Girls, I am assigning you to the super lover to crafting my funky rhyming. Lovers with I'm called cause my love girls only tell it. Galente is my name, but then I really seldom tell it. Just because it's funky don't mean you can't get it. While everybody's doing it, surely you will be with it. Cause I'm rocking the hip hop to make you get down to do the jams.
The golden era was a time that pushed hip hop in every direction. With that push came a sound that can only be linked to that time in music, but most people today describe it as boom bap. Now, according to Super Lover C, a lot of the music back then was a lot more grittier and dirtier, and along the way, hip hop music changed and got cleaned up to become more popular.
And it's interesting that you say try to describe, and that's because it's different than the sound today.
Right.
And that's why it's hard to describe it. It was, of course, we live in a digital world now opposed to analog. And that analog sound with the samples, and you're talking about the popping from the record samples, and it was all of that that brought it all together. So you wanted some of that in there, you know what I mean? So I remember working in the studio with Paul C, and we did the Do the James track, man. And you know, I remember cleaning it up later, you know, when it went on the album. But we did that single, man, it just didn't sound the same without the dirty sample in it, you know what I mean? So that was the sound, and that was the aspects that brought that sound together. You had the hard kicks, the snares, but then you also had that sample. You had all the frying, you know, there's that frying sound in the background on some of them. Some of them were clean, depending on what you were using, but that was the sound. And that's what created the overall sound of hip hop.